The opening isn't about action, it's about tone. It sets the philosophical and emotional foundation of the entire story, the idea that corruption doesn't begin with horror, but with comfort. We begin in the grimdark galaxy of the 41st millennium, a universe of endless war, suffering, and fanatic faith. The narrator, a human or a Star-as space marine, reflects on how in this world, there are fates worse than death. It's not about dying in battle, it's about losing your soul to chaos. Then we're introduced to Slaanesh, not directly as a monster, but as an idea, a presence. The prince of pleasure and pain, the god who corrupts not by force, but by temptation. The narrator tells us that no one thinks it will happen to them. That's important, because every servant of Slaanesh starts as someone who thinks they are too strong to fall. They fight for the emperor, for duty, for honor. They think they are pure. But Slaanesh waits for the proud. Slaanesh waits for the proud. That line, Slaanesh waits for the proud, is the emotional key of this first part. It foreshadows everything that follows. The proud soldier's belief in his own purity becomes the door through which corruption will enter. The tone is slow, heavy, spiritual, and poetic. There are no battles or shouting here, only silence and doubt. The scene feels almost sacred, like a sermon or confession whispered to the audience. The imagery evokes the sense of an enormous, decaying galaxy filled with dying faith, endless war, empty prayers, the cold silence of space, a perfect breeding ground for the seductive whispers of chaos. The first scene isn't about Slaanesh appearing, it's about the moment the seed is planted. The first whisper in the soldier's mind. That small, invisible fracture between faith and desire. This opening serves three crucial establishes theme. Corruption begins not with evil, but with comfort. The illusion that you deserve something better than pain. Humanizes the victim. The narrator isn't evil yet. He's like any loyal servant of the Imperium, tired, wounded, faithful. That makes his eventual fall more tragic. Introduces Slaanesh's method. Not violence, not domination, but seduction. A whisper that says, you deserve peace, you deserve beauty. You deserve more. The quiet battlefield has ended, the guns have stopped. Our warrior, still loyal, still believing himself strong, now feels something strange. When everything around him goes silent, a sound remains. It's not external, it's inside his mind. At first it's gentle. Not a command, not even a voice. It feels like his own thoughts answering him. He's exhausted, bleeding, praying for strength, and something answers that prayer. It says, you've earned peace. You deserve rest. That single idea is the beginning of his fall. He's too tired to question it. He tells himself it's the emperor, that he's being rewarded for his loyalty, but there's warmth in the voice, too much warmth. It feels human, intimate, even loving. It doesn't ask him to sin. It doesn't demand sacrifice. It only tells him what he wants to believe, that his suffering matters, that his pain deserves an ending, that he deserves something beautiful. The voice never argues. It agrees with everything he feels. That's how Slaanesh works, not through fear, but through understanding. When you feel broken, Slaanesh whispers that you're perfect. At night, or during the brief hours of rest between campaigns, he begins to dream. These are not nightmares, they are beautiful. He sees light, color, and music, sensations beyond human perception. He feels every texture, every sound, every breath in impossible detail. When he wakes, he's trembling. The dream fades like mist, leaving him with a hollow longing to return. He prays harder, but the prayers feel empty now. The emperor feels distant. Only the memory of that other voice feels real. This section symbolizes temptation disguised as comfort. The soldier's exhaustion and loneliness make him vulnerable. He doesn't realize that every time he listens, he gives a little more of himself away. Slaanesh doesn't come with chains. Slaanesh comes with silk, with beauty, with music. The corruption feels like healing. It feels like peace. By the end of this section, he no longer dreads the voice. He waits for it. He begins to dream intentionally, seeking that perfect world again. And that's the moment Slaanesh owns him, not through domination, but through desire. The whisper has become a melody. The melody will soon become a song. And that song will never stop. The soldier is now fighting again. A new campaign has begun. Against heretics or Xenos, it doesn't matter. War in the 41st millennium is endless, and he fights as he always has, by instinct, by faith, by fury, but this time, something feels different. The battlefield isn't only a place of horror, it's beautiful. He notices the shimmer of plasma fire, the symmetry of falling shells, the rhythm of screams and bolter rounds. He feels alive. His brothers around him are dying, but to him, their deaths seem like art. He doesn't realize how far he's slipping. To him, he's still loyal, still serving the Emperor. He tells himself that the perfection he feels is holy zeal, but it isn't zeal, it's ecstasy. When he kills, it no longer feels righteous. It feels good. The recoil of his weapon, the spray of blood, the vibrations of impact, every detail sends waves of pleasure through him. He starts to fight longer, harder, recklessly. His commanders see devotion. They don't see corruption yet. After the battle, he removes his helmet. He breathes in the air of the dead world. It smells like iron and ash, and to him it's intoxicating. He can taste the copper in the wind and feel his pulse against his arm. When he looks at his reflection on his weapon's blade, his eyes seem brighter, almost glowing faintly, a hint of color that shouldn't exist in any loyal Astartes. He feels stronger, more alive than ever before. But underneath that strength, there's a new craving. He wants more sensation. More perfection, more beauty. This scene symbolizes the moment of denial, when the corrupted still believes himself righteous. The soldier thinks his growing pleasure is divine reward, not realizing that every spark of joy is Slaanesh feeding on his soul. This is the bridge between purity and heresy, a moment where light and shadow are so perfectly mixed that even the pure cannot tell them apart. The soldier kneels among the dead after victory. He whispers thanks to the Emperor, but in his mind, he hears another voice answering first. It hums softly like a lover's breath in his ear, a melody only he can hear. And when he smiles without realizing it, that's the final confirmation Slaanesh has entered him fully. Not through force. Through pleasure time passes. The soldier fights in more battles. He bleeds more. He wins again and again. But inside, he no longer fights for victory. He fights to feel. Every cut, every burn, every broken bone is another spark in his mind. He starts to crave damage. When an enemy blade slices across his armor, he doesn't flinch. He sighs. His brothers call it a fearlessness. They think he's ascended in devotion. They don't see the tremor in his hands after battle, the way he presses his wounds too long, feeling the pain turn to warmth and warmth to joy. Slaanesh doesn't whisper anymore. Now the voice sings. It praises him for his beauty, for his strength, for the art of his destruction. It tells him that every scream around him is a symphony and that he is the conductor. The world begins to shift. Colors feel deeper. Sounds vibrate through his armor. He feels the pulse of the battlefield like a living heartbeat, and he realizes it beats for him. The Emperor feels distant now. The prayers no longer echo back. Only the song remains. His body begins to change, subtly at first. His senses sharpen beyond mortal limits. He can hear the blood flowing in his veins. He can feel the heartbeat of enemies 100 meters away. Every breath is too intense, every sensation unbearable, and yet he craves more. His flesh begins to shimmer with faint iridescence under his armor. His scars heal too quickly, but they leave behind patterns, almost like runes. He hides them, afraid to admit he feels proud of them. This section represents the loss of humanity. The line between pleasure and pain, between life and torment, collapses. Slaanesh's corruption is not just spiritual. It rewires the very nerves of the victim. The soldier no longer feels as a man does. He feels as a demon's vessel. The same sensations that once meant suffering now mean joy. That inversion is the essence of Slaanesh, the perversion of meaning itself. During a lull in combat, he removes his helmet again. He breathes deeply and realizes he can smell fear, literally like a perfume. He looks at his bloodied gauntlet and sees beauty in it. And then for the first time, he says the forbidden name aloud, not as a curse, not as a prayer, as a thank you. The Slaanesh, and the moment he speaks it, the galaxy changes, the colors twist, reality ripples, and he feels something looking back. The mask of sanity is gone. The transformation is complete. The moment the name leaves his lips, the air around him changes. There is no flash, no explosion, only silence, a silence so heavy that it presses against his chest. He falls to his knees, gasping, and then the silence speaks, but the voice is no longer in his mind. It's everywhere. It speaks through the wind, the dust, the blood in the ground. 1,000 tones, male and female, gentle and violent, pleading and mocking all at once. You have called me, it says. I now feel me. He feels warmth spreading through his body, not from outside, but from within. From within. Every nerve ignites. Pleasure and pain merge into one overwhelming sensation. He screams, but the scream turns into laughter. He cannot tell if he's dying or transcending. Visions fill his mind. Worlds bathed in impossible light, creatures of perfect form and horror intertwined, armies of the damned dancing in eternal ecstasy, and in the center of it all, Slaanesh. The god appears not as one shape, but as every shape his mind has ever desired. Male, female, neither, perfection and monstrosity blended seamlessly. Every movement of the god's form is a promise and a threat. Slaanesh doesn't ask for obedience. Slaanesh asks for devotion. The god shows him what he could become. A being freed from pain, freed from limits, able to feel every heartbeat of the universe, able to make others feel as he does. No more fear, no more silence, only sensation, forever. But there's a price. There's always a price. All he must give is his soul, his loyalty, his name. And in that moment, he realizes something terrible. He's already given them, he just hadn't admitted it yet. His armor cracks open, not from damage, but because his body is growing. Muscles twist, stretch, and reform. His bones hum like strings of an instrument. His senses explode outward. He can see sound, hear color, taste emotions. What once would have driven him mad now feels like divinity. He doesn't resist, he embraces it. He begins to laugh, not in madness, but in exultation. His laughter echoes through the battlefield, a sound both angelic and horrifying. The soldiers nearby hear it and feel a shiver down their spines. Some begin to tremble. A few drop to their knees, not knowing why tears fall from their eyes. That's the first sign of his new power. His presence begins to corrupt others. When the transformation subsides, he stands among the corpses of his brothers. His armor gleams in colors that shift with every blink. His face, once scarred and human, now radiates an unnatural beauty. But his eyes are voids of shimmering light, like oil on water. And in his mind, Slaanesh whispers, "You are mine." He doesn't resist. He doesn't want to. He bows his head. And when he speaks again, his voice carries two tones, his own and another layered beneath it. The soldier is gone. What remains is a champion. A creature neither mortal nor god, the first of many to come. He no longer feels the weight of his armor or the sting of exhaustion. The battlefield feels like a cathedral now, and he is its high priest. The god's song still hums inside him, a constant rhythm that syncs with his heartbeat. When he moves, it's like a dance. Every swing of his weapon leaves trails of light and sound, like brushstrokes across the canvas of death. Those who face him die in awe. Even enemies who fear him cannot look away. He no longer fights for victory. He fights to create. Every strike, every motion is art. The screams are part of the music. Blood is just color. And his enemies are the audience. His presence starts to twist others. The soldiers who fight beside him begin to feel strange sensations. Fear that turns to thrill, pain that turns to pleasure. They don't understand it. They just know they can't stop. Soon his company begins to change. Their prayers become hollow. Their laughter becomes feverish. The god's name passes between them like a secret drug, and before long they are no longer an imperial force. They are a choir. Their battle cries are hymns. Their victories are rituals. Each life they take feeds the song. When word spreads of a company fighting with impossible passion, they are noticed, not by the Imperium, but by the Emperor's children, Slaanesh's favored legion. The ancient Astartes who long ago traded loyalty for perfection. They come to him not as conquerors, but as kin. They kneel before him, recognizing the god's mark upon him. They call him a brother. They call him Ed Chosen. Their leader, a twisted champion of excess, places a clawed hand upon his shoulder and says, "Welcome home, child of Slaanesh." He feels the words burn into his mind like fire and silk. Home. He finally belongs. No longer a warrior of mankind, he becomes an artist of the god's will. Every battle is a performance, every death a note in an eternal song. The Emperor's children teach him to refine the art, to weaponize sound, to turn agony into melody, to shape flesh into beauty. He learns to fight with rhythm, to make his blade hum at the frequency of terror. And when he kills now, it's not just death, it's conversion. Each soul he slays whispers Slaanesh's name before fading. He's no longer a soldier, he's a prophet. A living sermon of sensation. After one campaign, he stands upon a mountain of broken machines and flesh. He looks to the sky, a storm of warp energy tearing reality apart. And for the first time, he feels something beyond pleasure. He feels oneness. Slaanesh's presence fills him completely. He hears the laughter of demons in the clouds. He sees colors no mortal eye could imagine. He weeps, not from sorrow, but from fulfillment. In that moment, he realizes he will never die. Not truly. His body may fall, but his essence now belongs to the Prince of Excess. He is eternal. And eternity will be an endless symphony of agony and ecstasy intertwined. The soldier, now an apostle of the Prince of Pleasure, has fought across 100 worlds. Each one leaves a stain of color and music in his wake. Every victory feeds Slaanesh's realm in the warp. The more he kills, the thinner the veil grows between reality and the immaterium. And then on a nameless world choked in ash, it finally tears. The sky fractures, the ground itself begins to sing, a deep, rhythmic pulse that vibrates through his armor. His followers, once human, fall to their knees trembling, their eyes wide with ecstasy and horror. The song he's heard his entire life is now outside of him. Real. Vast. Endless. He feels his flesh unravel, his bones soften and reform. His voice echoes across the world, a sound too perfect for the mortal ear. It breaks minds and melts metal. He is not dying, he is shedding. Wings bloom from his back, but they are not wings of feathers. They are made of light, of sound, of sensation given shape. Every nerve of his body now touches the warp. He can feel entire planets beating like hearts. His weapon fuses to his arm, a blade of pure resonance. Each swing leaves a trail of shimmering unreality behind it. He looks down and sees his army, once soldiers, now worshippers, screaming his name in worship and terror. He cannot remember his old name. It is gone. Slaanesh whispers a new one into his mind, a name made of tones and emotion rather than syllables. When he speaks it, reality bends. The planet beneath him begins to change. Its surface melts into glass and silk, its rivers turn to mirrored light, and the wind carries laughter that is inhuman. A temple grows around him, not of stone, but of living flesh and energy. Every beat of his heart reshapes the world. This is his gift. His curse. He is no longer a servant. He is a prince, a fragment of Slaanesh's will made flesh. As he takes his throne in the warp, he finally understands the truth. Slaanesh never wanted obedience, only expression. Every act of creation, every cry of agony, every forbidden joy, it all feeds the same hunger. He looks upon his own creation and feels pride. But pride turns to hunger. Hunger turns to need. And need becomes endless. That's the final horror of Slaanesh's gift. You are never satisfied. No pleasure is ever enough. Even gods must crave. He will spend eternity chasing sensations that no longer exist. And somewhere, deep inside that vast, perfect being, the faint echo of a human voice still whispers, "Emperor, forgive me." But there is no forgiveness here, only the song. Centuries have passed. The Imperium has long forgotten the soldier's name, but his legend remains. Buried deep within the forbidden archives of the Ordo Malleus, the Inquisition's hunters of demons. Somewhere on a dying Forge world, an Inquisitor studies a cracked data slate, its text corrupted, its sigils blasphemous. The record is incomplete, but the title reads, "A File 77 Theta, the Apostle of Excess." He plays the last surviving Vox recording. A voice echoes from the static. Beautiful, terrible, layered with 1,000 tones. The voice doesn't threaten, it sings. We are the music that flesh once feared. We are the art born from agony. We are the proof that even pain is divine. The Inquisitor shudders. Even through sealed sanctum walls and wards of purity, the sound feels alive. He orders the machine destroyed, but it's too late. The echo lingers in his mind. That night, he dreams of colors that don't exist. He dreams of laughter that sounds like prayer. Yeah. Somewhere else, aboard a void ship drifting between stars, a low-ranking psyker wakes in terror. He hears the same melody through the hull, though the Vox is silent. He scratches the word Slaanesh into the wall before gouging his own eyes out. In the blackness of the warp, the demon prince hears the prayers of those who don't even know they pray. He smiles, or something like smiling. A single whisper passes through the void. "You never stop calling my name." The Imperium will never admit it, but the corruption never truly dies. Faith can be reforged, planets purged, but desire cannot be destroyed. It can only be hidden. And where there is desire, Slaanesh will always find a way in. The legend of the fallen warrior becomes forbidden scripture. A tale whispered by heretics, a sermon for the damned. They say his song still echoes between the stars, a melody too soft to hear, but too powerful to silence. Those who listen too long start to hum along. In the closing lines of the record, the Inquisitor writes, We have faced demons of rage, of decay, of deceit, but none as perfect as this. For the Prince of Excess does not conquer through hate, but through love twisted into worship. He is the only God who makes you want to serve. He seals the record with holy fire, but the sound continues to echo inside him. He realizes too late that he's smiling. A soft voice whispers in his ear, "Do you understand now?" And in the silence that follows, a faint sound, a single note of music, plays from nowhere and fades into the void. This final section completes the tragedy. It shows that corruption never ends with one soul. It's a cycle. One fall becomes another whisper, another temptation, another song. Slaanesh's greatest weapon is not destruction, it's memory. And even the memory of beauty can damn. Thanks for watching for my